for the rest of the weekend. All because of me. You're all welcome. So, boys and girls, this is a story. We have a story to tell. This is a story called The Emperor's New Clothes. Have any of you heard that story? You have, haven't you? Well, you're probably pretty disappointed you're the king at this point. But anyway, have you all heard that story before? Okay. This story gets pretty fun. Nothing. Okay. Boys and girls, this is a story called The Emperor's New Clothes. Once upon a time, there was a king. Now, this king loved nothing more in the world than brand new clothes. He loved new clothes more than he loved ice cream, didn't you?
Yes.
He loved new clothes more than he loved chocolate.
Yes.
He even loved them more than he loved Brussels sprouts.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. He loved new clothes more than anything. Well, one day, two swindlers came to the castle. Yeah, you two, right over here. Now, if you don't know what a swindler is somebody that tries to trick other people. They try to trick other people. And these two swindlers, they came to the castle and they said, "Your Majesty, we have brought you a brand new suit of magical clothes." Now, boys and girls, between you and me, there was no new suit of clothes at all. But they wanted to trick him. So instead, the two swindlers held out their hands just like this. And they said, "Your Majesty, this is a magical suit of clothes." Now, because you are so very smart and very important, certainly you can see how beautiful it is. But to a fool, Your Majesty, this suit of clothes is absolutely invisible. Well, the king looked down, and what do you think he saw, boys and girls? Nothing, because there was nothing to see. But he didn't want to look like a fool, so instead, he looked down at the new suit of clothes and he stroked his beard just like this. And then he twirled his mustache just like this. Yes, he twirled it just like that, and he said, "I see," said the king.
I see.
Very good. He said, "I see," again.
I see.
And then he said, "Isn't it grand? Isn't it fine? Look at the cut, the style, the line. The suit of clothes is altogether, but altogether the most remarkable suit of clothes that I have ever seen. These eyes of mine have once determined the sleeves of velvet, the cape is ermine, the hose of blue, and the doublet is a lovely shade of green. A lovely shade of green." And then he said,
Somebody said for the queen.
absolutely, he said, "Somebody sent for the queen." And the queen did come. She came right down from her tower. And she came behind the other children, and then walked down from the tower, looking as beautiful as she always does. And she was told how there was a magical suit of clothes, and how only very smart and very important men and women could actually see it. And she looked down, and what do you think she saw? Because there was nothing to see, but she didn't want to look like a fool. So instead, she looked down and she said, "I see."
I see.
"I see," said the queen.
I see.
And then she said, "Isn't it grand? Isn't it fine? Look at the cut, the style, the line. The suit of clothes is altogether the most remarkable suit of clothes that I have ever seen. These eyes of mine have once determined the sleeves of velvet, the cape is ermine, the hose of blue, and the doublet is a lovely shade of green. A lovely shade of green. Summon the court to convene," said the queen. And she did. The entire court came, which meant there were jesters, and there were knights, and there were princes, and there were princesses, and they all came to see this brand new magical suit of clothes, which by now they had heard was beautiful, except that fools could absolutely not see it. Well, they all looked down, and they all looked at the two swindlers, and what do you think they saw? Nothing, because there was nothing to see, but they didn't want to look like fools, so instead, they said, "Isn't it isn't it isn't it absolutely, the suit of clothes is altogether the most remarkable suit of clothes, as you've already said. These eyes of ours have once determined the sleeves of velvet, the cape is ermine, the hose of blue, and the doublet is a lovely shade of red." No, green, yes, green. How could we think it was red? And the king was very, very pleased. He was so happy that he made a proclamation. He decided that there was going to be a parade. A parade through the center of town on Saturday, and in that parade he would wear his brand new suit of magical clothes. Yes, and the king got nervous because he's heard this story before. But The town, by Saturday, had heard all about this magical suit of clothes, and they were all out to see the parade, and they'd heard that only very, very smart and very important men and women could actually see the suit of clothes. And certainly enough, the parade began. And there were elephants, and there were horses drawing carriages behind them, and there were tigers. There were all sorts of interesting things. There were jesters, and they were juggling balls. They were doing all sorts of wonderful things. And finally came the queen, strolling through the center of town, waving at her subjects just like this. Yes, she was waving just like that. That's right. Just like that. Don't seem too interested because you're a queen. So you should, yes, just like that. And then finally came the king, riding through the middle of town, wearing absolutely nothing. Yeah. Uh-huh. But the crowd didn't want to look like fools, so instead they cheered. Yay! They all cheered for the king. All of them cheered except for one little boy. One little boy who didn't understand what he was supposed to see. And instead he pointed at the king. He pointed just like that. And he said, "Look at the king."
Look at the king.
Uh-huh. He said it again. "Look at the king."
Look at the king.
Uh-huh. And then he said, "Look at the king. He's all together, but all together. He's all together. He's all together as naked as the day that he was born. Look at the king. He's all together, but all together. He's all together. It's all together, the very least the king has ever worn. Look at the king. He's all together, but all together. He's all together. He's all together as naked as the day that he was born. Look at the king. He's all together, but all together. He's all together. It's all together, the very least the king has ever worn." And the crowd all did look at the king, and they laughed. And the queen, she looked at the king, and she said, and the king, he looked at himself, and he said, "Uh-oh." And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mind telling you that their lives went on happily after that, but this is where our story ends today, with a crowd laughing at its king, a queen who is very, very embarrassed, a king who is very, very naked, and one little boy who is very, very brave. Why? Because he was brave enough to think for himself and to say what he thinks. And that is the end. It's all about me. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you for helping out. That was an excellent, excellent job. I have time for a couple of more songs, including this one, when all you have to do is copy what I sing. So let's see if you can repeat after me, boys and girls. If I sing, "Sally, can I walk you home?" Very good. "It's only 3 more